All right, we're going to have a treat tonight. So we have two speakers. First, Brooklyn Johnson. She serves as the Executive Director of the Joe Ford Nature Center, where she focuses on making nature education approachable, engaging for the local community. With a deep love for hiking, wildlife, and seasonal changes in the landscape, she works to create programs and partnerships that inspire people to slow down, observe, and connect with the natural world right here in Western Kentucky. And we also have Eric Houtchen, an avid outdoorsman and certified naturalist who's proudly served on the Joe Ford Nature Center board for the past 3 years with a strong commitment to conservation and land stewardship. Eric focuses on ensuring the park remains sustainable and that its trails are thoughtfully maintained and cared for. He's passionate about protecting natural spaces so that the community can continue to explore, learn, and connect with the outdoors for generations to come. And the title to the presentation, Introduction to Joe Ford Nature Center. So I'd like to welcome Brooklyn and Eric. So.
All right, there's going to be a few things that I'm going to do inappropriately today, and one of them is going to be reading off of a piece of paper for some portions of it, so I do have to apologize. I've been with the Nature Center for 6 months now, which when you work part-time, that really is more like 3 months, which means give me as much grace as you can, because I still feel really, really new. I'm lucky enough to have Eric come in on the back end of the presentation, and what was important to me was to kind of take a little bit of time to show you and kind of talk to you about the Joe Ford Nature Center and kind of everything that we're trying to achieve there. I think I know most of you are familiar with the space because you've come out there and you've done a lot of bird watching, and thank you for being a part of the individuals that come and spend time at our little slice of paradise that I like to think of it as. But what I also want to make sure is that we remind you of kind of where this all started and really talk about Joe. I'm from Evansville, Indiana, and I am a millennial, which means I was not in school here specifically when Joe was going around to all of the schools and talking to all of the students and really just making people, A, fall in love with him, and then also fall in love with nature and animals and wildlife. And that's something I wish every day that I would have gotten to meet him, but I have spent a lot of time specifically for this presentation looking into Joe Ford. And what I ended up finding was, and I don't know who wrote it, I should have looked into that, but it was like a 17-page PDF that was about Joe Ford. And I took that information and then I condensed it. And that's going to be the portion where I'm going to read from a piece of paper, because I just haven't had a chance to memorize all of this fun information about him. But our mission is to honor and preserve Joe and Grace Ford's legacy by protecting the natural and cultural heritage of our region and offering meaningful education programs, which is something that we and I am personally focused on trying to get my hands and my arms around, and then also maintaining the space and the place, which we're so lucky with our amazing board members, and of course Eric giving his talents to make sure that I know what we're supposed to be doing because I'm constantly learning, and making sure that people can find a way to connect with nature. What's nice about the Joe Ford Nature Center is really that location of where it's at. It's so accessible. It's something that if you have a bad day at work, because we all do, you can leave and you can go and swing by the Nature Center and get a tiny little slice of just mindful walking out there on the trails, which is something that I personally like to do as often as I can, which I'm really lucky because I'm also located right there, so I get to do it all the time. All right, let's talk about Joe. Let's talk about him. So Joe Ford was one of Owensboro's most influential naturalists, historians, and educators. He was born in Daviess County. Joe's fascination with nature began in childhood when he created his first museum in a lean-to beside his sister's playhouse. After serving in the Merchant Marines during World War II and studying geology at the University of Kentucky, he returned home to farm near Sargo, where he built a small concrete block museum on his property. Before I get into that museum, his uniform is at the Joe Ford Nature Center. And if you've ever walked in there, and I believe, Mary, you've probably seen it because the door was open and it's kind of like hanging up in this one spot. He was I don't know what blows you away more. The fact that you could tell he was so young when he was in the Merchant Marines because of the size of the uniform. I look at that, and I just spoke to a 7th grade class today, and I feel like a 7th grader would have fit into that uniform. And it just blows you away what the men were doing at that particular time in the world. It just It blows me away. Thousands of school children, if you can imagine, visited his private collection of fossils, Native American artifacts, insects, snakes, and wildflowers. And he became extremely determined that Owensboro deserved a public museum, and he tirelessly spoke to civic groups until a federal grant was secured in 1966 to open what became the Owensboro Museum of Science and History. He served first as a curator and later as a director for 21 years, expanding the museum through multiple locations and establishing it as a regional educational resource. After retiring from the museum in 1987, he continued his life's work as a naturalist for the Daviess County Parks Department because the man couldn't get enough and he couldn't stop and he just had to keep giving back. And so he was transplanting wildflowers, he was leading hikes, he was writing columns, he was hosting radio and television programs, and he was answering countless community questions about plants, wildlife, archaeology, and local history, which I believe a lot of people think I should be able to do already, but I'm working on it. I'm working on it. He is the hardest steps to ever follow, and I can tell you that. In 2008, he was officially proclaimed Owensboro's official naturalist, and his lifelong commitment to environmental education and conservation led to the creation and naming of the Joe Ford Nature Center, my personal favorite space, a woodland preserve and educational space designed to connect people with native plants and wildlife. When the center held its grand opening in 2010, it stood as a tribute to a man who spent decades inspiring generations to appreciate and protect the natural world. And I just couldn't be more impressed with him and everything I was able to see. So if you were able to meet him, can I get a show of hands who knew him? Okay, so you're all luckier than I. Just to kind of talk about our location, we're right behind Grad, which, as I mentioned, it makes us a really great accessible location. Some place for you to literally just turn off after a long day or wake up a little early and come out and see what's going on at the nature park. It's our central hub, essentially, for that nature park area. It houses the Joe Ford Library and also his archival collection. There's dedicated educational and program space. It's obviously where I hang out 15 hours a week. So if you're around, please come entertain me. I would love it. Love for you to come in and hang out. And also it's a great opportunity for other community programs to come and use our facility. What would make me the happiest person in the world is to have more foot traffic through the space, also provide more reasons for people to come out there outside of what I've already mentioned, and just keep the legacy of Joe Ford going. All right, the strategic goals for 2026 and 2027. I'm already gonna start sweating. So as we've been talking about what Joe Ford Nature Center and the Nature Park looks like over the next few years, I think it's been really important for us to kind of focus on those pillar items that are important to us. Obviously, increasing annual visitor traffic. Number one, I think anyone who has a location that wants visitors is trying to increase the visitors that are coming out there. So that's a pretty obvious item. Of course, we want to focus on family and child engagement. It's so important for us to bring in the kids, bring in the parents, and make sure that we're providing a great experience and a great learning opportunity for anyone in our community. We want to expand our school partnerships and field trip programming. So as I mentioned, I've been there for 6 months. Today was my first day talking to a group of 7th graders. And firstly, it was a science class, and my history is in business and marketing. So that was hard. It was hard and scary, but amazingly, the kids were awesome. They're from Owensboro Innovation Academy, and so I think I got really lucky at the groups that came in through there. But that's really important for me to gain the relationships with the schools, learn the things that are going to be interesting to the kids. I have a passion, and I have a passion for nature. I spend every minute that I can outside, whether the weather is awesome or it's the absolute worst day ever. It's important to me to embrace the suck when it comes to nature, and I do it as often as I can. But what I want to do and what I need to do for this role and to keep the legacy alive is to study and know more, that I can become more of a benefit to the youth programs, to the schools, and that's something that I'm really focused on as well. And so I know that we'll have more of those partnerships coming down the pipeline. We also want to launch a structured summer nature camp for the youth, and that's something I'm working on some grants and I'm gonna keep my fingers crossed that maybe we're gonna be able to get that funding. And what I'd love to do is to create a consistent event and space, essentially, for our youth that like our parents can be expecting. They know it's going to happen. They are gonna sign their kids up automatically. I'd love to get a wait list if that was a real thing. I don't know, but I'm gonna dream for it. These are things that I really wanna create as quickly as possible, work with the right people to create the right layouts. We have amazing people on our board who have worked as principals, school teachers, and they can help us kind of create that kind of guideline and how we wanna go about it. But that is a huge focus, and I hope and pray that is a 2026 initiative that we get. One of the things is kind of my bio said, I like to be a little bit of a hippie when it comes to just being outside. And so like mindfulness, and I'm a millennial, and I think it's important to mention that because age matters when you're kind of thinking about your journey through life. And that means I was one of the last kind of groups that got to, your parents didn't know that you were 2 towns over on your bike. And the way you got home was because the street lights came on. There's not a lot of youth that's necessarily having that experience anymore. And a lot of adults my age struggle with turning it off, focusing on removing distractions. And you can even be addicted to thinking. And you just live inside your head so aggressively that you kind of forget to like slow down and be mindful and to breathe and to think. As humans, we're supposed to be outside, We were meant to be outside. Nature feeds us, it soothes us, it cares for us, it provides for us. And I just think it's really important to try to find a way to incorporate that kind of experience in our nature park area, whether or not that kind of makes its way into the center. I just want to remind people that it doesn't take a 2-hour hike to calm you down. It could be a really gentle 20-minute walk. It could be a 15-minute walk. It could be 5 minutes. Who cares? Just get outside and breathe. And that's kind of something that I'm hoping to remind people of, just the mindfulness of the beauty of outdoors. But also we have that little fitness trail. And I don't know if people have even like noticed it or paid any attention to it. But as you go through the Joe Ford Nature Park and you come in through, it's very apparent whenever you come in through the back end of the green belt. And then of course, right whenever essentially any kind of trail you go into, you're gonna run into it. I would love to remind people of it, bring in running groups. I'm trying to get a yoga instructor out there to do yoga in the park. Just kind of these moments to bring people who are focused on fitness and wellness to find an opportunity for them to do that at the Nature Center. So those are goals as well. And then I kind of already hopped on this train, but I want to make sure we're positioning the Nature Center as our little slice of nature for the community. I want everyone to understand where it's at, who Joe Ford is, why we're there, and how it can make you warm and fuzzy or just be a great escape. Today, I think I was probably, it was 3 different groups, 75 kids maybe in total, and no one had been out to the Joe Ford Nature Center into the final group. And the final group, one of the boys said, I think I was there when I was in the 4th grade. I think this was the 7th grade, but it's very confusing to tell these kids' ages. I think that was all 7th graders, but it was very confusing on appearances. I'm not really sure. But outside of that, the 2 other classes, no one had been there. But let's be honest too, they're kids. Do they know exactly where they're at? No. I don't know that I knew exactly where I was. So they may have been there multiple times. For all they know, they go there every Saturday with their mom. I'm not sure. But that's something I want to make sure to remind people that we're there. I had mentioned how I found the Joe Ford Nature Center. And it was me, I was just running, I was big into running at the time, and I was looking for the green belt. And I lived in Evansville, and I wasn't from here. And I couldn't comprehend the green belt. Like, I don't know why, but I couldn't figure out where it's at. When you don't know Owensboro, and I wasn't living here, I was just trying to run before I moved. I drove all the way back to Newburgh. I was like, let's get that running before I drive across the money-saving bridge. And I couldn't figure out where to go. And the only one that made sense when I was searching for everything was to enter it through, like, by where the Nature Center was. And I ran by that and never turned my head to the right and saw the Nature Center. Or I saw it and I didn't process it because it could have been at the time when We didn't have a director that was out there regularly, so I didn't see cars, or I was oblivious to a whole building that I had passed, which is unsafe, and I should scold myself for it. But it's important that we're consistently online, we're popping up in front of people, that they're just remembering that we're there. Because at the end of the day, you don't necessarily have to come into the nature center, but I would really love to see more cars in our parking lot. Oh, the bird banding. Yay to the bird banding. One of the things that I've been, as I kind of still hop on to the latter part of the strategic goals, because honestly I forgot what the other slide was. That was after this. But I know that there are a lot, like you guys have Mammoth Cave coming here, and I'm like, that is really cool. I need to figure out who the contacts are. As I'm going through this process, 15 hours a week might sound, I don't know what that sounds like to you, but I can tell you I eat through it fast. And it means I feel like I'm still kind of running behind. And if there's any contacts that you know of locations that you guys have even had come out here that you feel like could benefit us at the Nature Center, I would so greatly appreciate any part of that, because it would just help me start getting more of the programming out there. I know that I do not have to go and pound the pavement and knock on every door to find these, that people have already been using the same contacts and the same groups, and it's something that if you have them, please, by all means, let me know, because I will greatly cherish that. And I am so excited to start some emails and get those cranked out, because usually when you ask somebody to come speak in these environments, guess what they do? Even if they're not prepared, they show up. They show up. Okay, so the bird banding, we have that now officially scheduled on May 2nd. And this has been really amazing. Of course, Scott Kramer was it a Lois or another, was there a woman that was involved too, or did we just have Scott?
His wife was involved, his wife assisted.
Perfect. I'm going to turn my pages. Okay. I wanted to mention that it was one of the most impactful educational experiences that we offer, especially today. Participants get to, which you guys know, see migratory birds up close, learn how the scientists track the movement and health data, and understand habitat preservation here in Owensboro and why it matters from a national scale. I think one of the most interesting things is taking the time to talk about conservation. That was one of the things the kids were probably the most excited about, was understanding invasive species, which we'll talk about also, but understanding conservation and how your behavior and what you do can either negatively impact our environment or add a lot to it. And I think that's my goal, and I hope that we get even more people out there. This is the biggest group that we've ever seen come out to one of our bird banding experiences. My husband is a duck hunter. Is anyone a duck hunter? You're all normal humans. That's great. And he is like crazy about it. He just came into my office Monday and he was like, oh my gosh, look, and he tracks every duck and where it goes. And he's like, look how smart ducks are. He's like, look at their migration patterns and how they went exactly to the same location over and then all the way back. They took different scenic routes, but they were all over, in general, in the same locations, and they went to the exact same locations. And it's unbelievable. Hummingbirds. I just have to say hummingbirds. Those are my favorite things in the whole world. And the fact that they are so jealous and they fight each other is even more entertaining. And the fact that they can go back to the exact same location year after year, I think it's one of the most unbelievably fantastic things that's happening. There's not a lot of good in the world, but hummingbirds, man, they are doing it for us. So yes, I didn't know the time, so I put time TBD, but we'll make sure to get an event group made for that as soon as possible. And these are, of course, items that we're so excited about. We're hoping to bring in more people for. And amazingly, when we post on social media, I have spent a lot of my career, sadly, working on social media, and I am shocked at the participation that we can get from ours, and it just shows the passion that we have for the people that follow our Facebook page and want to have a reason to come out there. So we're really excited about the bird banding. And now, passing to Eric. Thank you.
Very good.
Do you want me to press the, do you got it right there? I was
Yeah.
like, I'm just gonna stand up again and then talk.
Thank you, Brooklyn. She's doing an amazing job there as our director. So y'all stop in and see her if, when she's there. I'm sure she just recently started handling the snakes. So if you ask her, she'll get the snake out for you.
It took me one day to lose one.
Yes, we've got one missing, but I'm sure she'll find it.
I wish we were joking.
So I'm just going to talk a little bit about our invasive species program we're kind of working on there. Joe Ford Nature Center, like a lot of nature preserves around the country, we've got a lot of invasives there. Bush honeysuckle, autumn olive, winter creeper, those are a few. We got several others. Those are some of the big ones. We got a picture of the honeysuckle there. Everyone knows that one. This spring, if you go out there on our trails when that's in bloom, you'll get a really good idea of just how much honeysuckle is in that place. And it's nature preserves around the country are fighting the same battle. Now here in Davis County, it's hard to find a patch of woods that doesn't have some honeysuckle in it. It seems like. You know, they spread aggressively. They're rapid growers and they outcompete the native wildflowers that we want to keep there. The honeysuckle also, one of the ways it's detrimental to the native plants is it produces a chemical in its roots that actually inhibits growth around the plant. So that's a problem there. The winter creeper, that stuff is so thick out there. There are places where, I mean, it's just dense there at the Nature Center, and it's like nothing. It's really difficult for anything to come up through that stuff. And we want to try and get rid of this stuff because we want to help our maintain our diversity, our plant diversity there. Because if we can maintain our plant diversity, you know, it helps the pollinators. These invasive plants that don't really provide a lot of benefits for wildlife. So we're trying to get rid of them over time. And that's how we ended up doing these weed wrangles. So the weed wrangles, we didn't come up with that term. There's a nonprofit I think it's out of Nashville. They're like the Weed Wrangle nonprofit. And they've had provided us with a lot of resources, just kind of help people get going. It's a national thing. Westwood Woods has been doing this for several years. And I actually went up to Westwood Woods when we first started doing ours, and that particular day they were pulling winter creeper, and they were cutting honeysuckle and autumn olive too. So with the winter creeper, the way we've been approaching it, we're just copying what they do at Westwood Woods. So there's two approaches. There's the organic approach, which is what we're doing. You've got to pull it by hand. You can't just come in there with a weed eater because if you don't get the roots, it's coming right back up. You can't leave it laying on the ground because it will take root and grow again. So you can see we've got a truck there with trash bags. That's trash bags of winter creeper that we have to haul off. That's the only way to get rid of it, unfortunately.
So you're just pulling it up by the roots. Is
That's
what you're
it.
doing. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So the only other option is to spray it, and you've got to use glyphosate or Roundup, which our board decided we're not going to use Roundup there at our property. Now a lot of places are using it. I know the Kentucky State Nature Preserves, because they've got hundreds of acres, and they're spraying because there's no way they could put a dent in that stuff just doing it the way we're doing it. We're only about 13 acres, so I think it's doable. We know it's going to be a multi-year project, so but we're going to keep at it. I don't see Mary Kissel here tonight, unfortunately.
She's working tonight.
Okay. Well, she has been in just about every single weed wrangle we've had. She's put in a lot of work, and I really appreciate her efforts there, because it is a lot of work. So that's how we're doing the winter creeper. We're just pulling it. Now the honeysuckle and autumn olive, we've got a different approach, and again, we're kind of just copying what I saw them do at Westwood Woods. If it's a small plant, you can just yank the honeysuckle out of the ground by the roots, and it's going to die. Larger plants, you got to cut them as close to the ground as you can with loppers or a saw. But if you don't apply herbicide, it's going to come back. It's going to have to send shoots back up. So what they were doing, I brought this. This was kind of a handy tool. This is what they're using in Westwood Woods, and we're using something similar. It's for a very localized application of herbicide. So they are using Roundup, and what they're doing after they lop that honeysuckle, it's got a sponge applicator. They liberally apply the Roundup to that honeysuckle so that it doesn't send shoots back up. What we're doing at Joe Ford, the board decided not to use any Roundup at all, even in a local application like that. So I've done some research. I've found some organic, like highly concentrated organic, I think it was sodium chloride, that's supposed to maybe work. It's gonna be kind of experimental. We'll see how it goes. But I thought that was kind of a neat approach to the honeysuckle and autumn olive.
Quick question.
Yes.
Because I haven't gone to weed wrangle yet, when you're pulling this, like, do you try to coordinate it when you think it's gonna, like, the ground's gonna be more wet? I just think about pulling weeds in my yard and like the effort, or, you know, when they're really in there, like, how are we?
When it's like concrete.
Yeah, like, how are we getting these?
We've really just been, like, as soon as the weather's nice, we're out there. And usually in the spring, it's fairly easy to pull that stuff out of there. So like, we probably won't have one in March, but I think in April and May, we'll probably do one each of those months.
Okay.
But yeah, we just kind of find a good day and hope we'll have some luck pulling that stuff out of there. That's been our approach so far.
So it sounds like a workout.
It's a pretty good workout. I mean, these weed wrangles, we usually schedule them for like 3 hours on a Saturday. We usually don't last 3 hours, because bending over pulling weeds, if you don't do that very often, you start feeling your back and everything else. But that's kind of our weed wrangles in a nutshell. I don't know if we've got another slide here or
I
not.
think that's the end.
Um,
I'm gonna hop up with you.
Okay, I was just gonna say, like I said, we'll have one probably in April sometime. We have not announced a date yet, but if you follow us on social media, and, go ahead.
Do you announce it on your website, in the newspaper, if you don't?
So we do have a newsletter now. I would say, yeah. The newsletter, yeah, if you subscribe to our newsletter, follow us we're on social media. Unfortunately, that's the way a lot of people kind of communicate now. So we will post everything on social media. And but the newsletter is pretty informative too. Brooklyn just got that going, and I recommend that. Mike, you got a question?
Mary, can you tell them about the Water Watch station?
Well, yeah, we have Water Watch. They've allowed the Water Watch of Kentucky, and we are the Green River group, have a hub at Joe Ford Nature Center where we are able to keep our supplies, where we are able to do training classes. If anyone's interested in being a volunteer to sample the creeks and waterways here in Davis County for the Green River, we have 3 samplings a year: spring, summer, and fall, in May, July, and September. We do train. We'll have a training class coming up in April that will be at the Joe Ford Nature Center. And so if anyone's interested, you can see me after the meeting, and I can take your name and make sure you get information when we're ready to have a class. But they've been very helpful for us to allow us to use this facility.
Good.
I just have a thought, when you were talking about the, getting the word out about the weed wrangles, it's an interesting thing to say, and the bird banding and that kind of thing. We do a newsletter that comes out the weekend before, the last weekend of the month, so that we remind people about this meeting. There's no reason why we couldn't have a regular article from the Joe Ford Nature Center just saying, this is what's happening. You know, so, you know, those people who read the newsletter but don't get to the meetings, you know, for whatever reason, will know about it.
I think that's great. Yeah, the more we can collaborate with like-minded groups.
And we can do that for next month. It's easily done. David is always looking for people to write something because he winds up writing the whole thing. So
What would be like that date that I would need to get it to him by? Do you happen to know?
I would say that if you get him something by the 24th or 5th of the month.
Perfect.
And
And that's David Stratton, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, David S. at Russian.edu.
we will have a wildflower walk, probably, I guess, it'll probably be late March, maybe early April. So you can kind of see some of the native plants out there that we want to keep. The other thing I will say about the weed wrangles, as we get rid of these native plants will fill in, but we're also going to start planting like a wider variety, more diverse variety of native plants out there. We would like Joe Ford to be the place that people go if they want to learn about the native wildflowers in this area. So that's a long-term goal as we improve this environment. That's really all I've got. But I'll take any questions.
I don't know the reason that you don't want to use Roundup, but I have a very good reason not to use Roundup. Several years ago, I used Roundup, and not too long after that, I developed cancer. And after that, I learned that there was a gigantic lawsuit against Roundup because of the relationship between Roundup and cancer. And I didn't participate in that at all, but if there's, I'm just going to support your decision and hope that nobody does ever change that decision, because that's a heavy duty.
Oh, yeah, our board
Heavy
members,
duty cancer.
they were very adamant about not using, for that reason, it's a known carcinogen, and we're trying to get the job done without using it. That had a question in the back?
Yeah, I'm real sensitive to poison ivy. I mean, if I was wrangling weeds, am I in danger there? I mean, is there a lot of poison ivy?
Yes, like every year when we had weed wrangles, I end up covered up in poison ivy. So
No.
that's I just want to let you know that is a possibility.
That's
Great.
Sign a waiver.
Get it really bad.
Yeah. So there are some people who
Is there any way to
cannot walk
prevent
past
it, like gloves and long sleeves, or does it
It
matter?
Long sleeves helps, gloves helps, wash afterwards, yeah.
Yeah, there's the wash I always use that's, it's not tech new, but it's like something you get at Walgreens or CVS. It's an oily wash, and it really helps a lot because I'm pretty sensitive to it.
Burt's Bees has one.
Yeah, and it's, you do that before you get in the shower and you get most of that oils away. So.
Yeah, even Dawn dish soap, because it's the oil that's on the plant that's doing that, so anything that cuts oil is gonna
Yeah,
get rid
anything
of
to
it.
emulsify.
I think there's some product you can put on before exposure.
There is, yeah, I haven't tried that yet, but that's something else.
Maybe that's what we should figure out, as a
Yeah.
free sample,
Yeah.
to get people to do it, because I'm like, oh man, I'm sensitive too.
Put the Joe Ford label on them.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's how you can get funds.
Right.
It'll be very popular everywhere.
If you guys want to be a part of our newsletter, I won't have you write down our email address, but you can just message me. It's me who's going to be responding on our Facebook page. You could literally just message me your email address, and I'll add you to the list of our subscribers if it's something that you'd be interested in. And we just started it, and so we only have like 80 subscribers. And it's awesome when people come in for events and they write their email address, but they write it so horrifically out of about 25 of them.
We know.
Right? And we're probably doing it on purpose because they don't want me to get their email address. But I wish that out of the like last, however many we had from our last event, I could successfully read 3 of them. So
man.
feel free to just ping me with them. And then anything, once more, my goal is to be a part of all of these things, so feel free to message us on Facebook, or you can email us, which all of that's listed on our newsletter. It's also, I believe, on our Facebook page. But anything that you want us to get involved in, if there's something that you think that we would be just kind of a perfect fit for, please reach out, because I am trying my best to find these community partnerships and meeting everyone, and really it helps if you guys can help, so. that would
We'd be happy to have you help with Trash for Cash.
I know, we're trying to schedule our trash for cash
Well,
day
you
too.
know what, if we combine
Yeah.
forces, you know, we might be able to do it so that
You guys are April 18th.
April 18th,
That is the day that we're at the Owensboro Farmers Market.
Okay.
Just,
so that's
they're
not.
doing, they're doing their Earth Day, and we have a booth out there. Just so you know that we're not just skipping out.
That's all right, well, it may rain that day and it may be the
True.
following Saturday.
True.
So what is your board members, like, and your funding? I don't understand how you're structured at all.
We have a board of 7 individuals, and then I'm the executive director. I'm the only paid part-time staff that's there. A lot of our funding, I'm trying to think of, because I'm trying to pull from Lois's Excel
So,
sheets, but.
yeah, it's kind of unusual. So Joe Ford Nature Center is a nonprofit, but it's also a city park. So it's unusual because it's like the only city park that also has a nonprofit, to my knowledge, that's actually managing it. I don't know.
So you get funding from the city?
I don't-
Not really, they pay
Well,
some of
I'm
the
not saying a
bills.
lot, but you get some.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, they pay some of the bills, and that's what keeps the lights on. We've
We're keeping the
also,
lights on.
yeah, literally. And then we've also had funding from donations that have essentially been keeping us going. Grants in the past through Davis County Fiscal Court, and that's one that we're working on right now. I think we were really running from, I look over there at Mike, I'm like, I don't know all the details, but, for the most part, we've been on a shoestring budget after 2019, 2020, I would say, and this is
Yeah.
the,
As a nonprofit, I mean, that's the biggest, one of probably Brooklyn's biggest jobs is trying to figure out how to, you know,
Get
fundraise
paid.
and, yeah, how to bring in money. It's a difficult job.
So hopefully
I would-
grants and
I would
fundraising.
like to let you know, and anybody else here who cares and doesn't know, I have been videoing almost all of the programs for this place, for this organization, for at least 7 or 8 years. And I have, I put most of them on CDs. And I don't know what to do with them because hardly anybody ever looks at them because they're in a box upstairs behind a locked door. And nobody ever asks for the key, so I know that they don't get looked at. Recently, I've been putting them up on the internet, on the website, so that every month for the last couple of years, they've been on there. But there's a box full of these things. That I don't know what, there's any reason to keep them here. And if you have any way to use them,
When you're loading them, are you loading them on a website or like on YouTube? Are they like?
they
how-
are on CDs in a box upstairs.
Okay, so they have.
Here.
Old ones are.
But some of them are on the website, on our website.
Okay,
And,
No.
if you wanted, I could probably send you a list of all those and
Yeah.
the links to those.
that would be great.
I think, I think I can pull them all out, but I'm not sure. I know that it would be easier just to send you all those links. There's at least 2 or 3 years that we've been doing this, and they are, David has been putting them on our
On the website.
monthly thing.
I think probably that for your longevity of you doing that, you'll probably want to do a YouTube channel. And it can
Well,
be
I
private.
have them on, they are on
Yeah,
YouTube, and that's where the
okay.
link goes to. And it's on my personal one, but nobody knows how to
Right.
get there except through these links. So if you want, I can send you a list of those things.
That would be great.
I can, the box is upstairs with all of the CDs prior to when we started putting them on the internet. And they're in 4K, and they're like you talked, there's almost always some kind of a video presentation. And they're not professional quality, but the audio is clear and the video is pretty good. I mean, this is a
Yeah.
very good camera. So if you want to have that stuff, I can maybe try and get it to you.
That'd be great. I'd love to see who's come out here and what they've talked about and kind of see how we
and
could
most of them are
possibly-
30 or 40 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you going, you said you're clearing out the weeds to make room for pollinators. Are you going to be planting wildflowers?
Yes, so that's the plan. There's some different companies now that just specialize in native plants, and there's even some that specialize just in woodland native plants. So we really want to increase the diversity of our plants there. We've got a lot, so I think Joe Ford probably planted a lot there in his time. You know, we've got a lot more than I can even list, but I mean, we would like to see even more out there. So that's the plan, is over time we will be planting things that are native to these woods in this area.
There's a company in Upton, Kentucky. I live in Caneyville, which is in Grayson County, and Upton is not far from me, but it's called Brownstone Native Seed.
Yes, they've got a good selection. That's one of them we're actually looking at.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
That's a really good company.
They also do tours. If anybody's interested, they do a really nice tour of their factory there, which is fascinating, how they bring in the seed and how they sort it and bring it all down to sort it by color and size and everything. And they do a really tremendous job, so.
Yeah, I would definitely, I'd be interested in that.
Yeah. Field trip for the
Field trips. They don't always have to be birds, and actually, if we had that kind of field trip, it wouldn't be canceled because of the weather,
Yeah.
which would be nice. We've canceled a lot of them because of the weather.
Oh, yeah.
I can imagine.
Any other questions, Joe, about Joe Ford or weed wrangles or?
Very good.
What are your all's hours that you're there, that you're physically there?
Currently, Tuesday and Wednesday, 9 a.m. to 4:30. And I try not to shift it, but part-time role and other part-time roles, I'm trying to keep it right around in there. I will end up at, when people start to visit me, because no one really comes out there right now, when people start coming in, I'll end up shifting one of those days, a few hours, to make sure that I'm open after work hours for people to come by as well. And then we'll incorporate a Saturday here or there. So I keep it usually on those 2 days, but I want to make sure that we open it up whenever people are really more active out there. But I always do a weekly Facebook post that tells you when the Nature Center will be open.
Okay, so that Facebook post it could change from week to week, the days that you're open.
Yes, I try not to, but like even today, I usually would be in at 9, but like
Right,
it
but
does,
when you,
yeah.
if you have a classroom to talk to, then you
Yeah,
go
yep,
to
yep.
talk to the class, right?
Exactly. Or try to find a snake.
Have,
Anything else?
All right, thank
All
you
right,
all.
have a trip.